Okay, we're gonna get started here, and if people continue to trickle in, that's great. I just wanted to start by welcoming everybody to this webinar. Um, my name is Katie Caskey, and I'm the Transportation Strategic Communications Director at HDR, and the chair of this council, the CTS Education and Engagement Council. And we're excited to kind of be hosting this webinar for you all today. Just a little background on the councils. The CTS councils provide a forum for transportation professionals and researchers to exchange information on current transportation issues and trends. They bring together university faculty and staff with practitioners from public and private sectors to recommend direction and participate in improving the center's research, education, and engagement programs. Sam will share a link to the more council information in the chat shortly. And so just a little bit about today's webinar. Features presentations on preparing transportation professionals for AI integration, industry, and international perspectives. This is the second of two webinars that will be featuring AI in transportation, with the previous one held in December of 2025. A recording of that previous webinar is available on the CTS website. And I will share more about today's webinar in a moment, but first I want to cover some details on the logistics and upcoming events. So first, some housekeeping. Questions and comments. We are looking forward to audience participation and questions during Q&A time, which will follow the presentations. We encourage you to use the Q&A at the bottom of your screen at any time to type in a question or comments for the speaker. During the Q&A, you can also use the raise your hand feature if you prefer. Then we can unmute you to share verbally. Just a note, we're going to be doing all Q&A apart from any clarifying questions. We're going to be doing all Q&A at the end of both presentations, or at the end of after all the presentations have gone. This event also meets continuing education requirements for 1.5 professional development hour credits and 1.5 American Institute of Certified Planner credits, certification maintenance credits. The PDH form will be uploaded to the chat for anyone who needs it. Now I want to talk just a little bit about spring events coming up. CTS is hosting 4 webinars on April 21st, 22nd, 23rd, and May 19th. You can register for these free webinars at cts.umn.edu/events/seminars, or probably via Googling. Infrastructure and Materials Performance is on April 21st at noon. My current favorite titled webinar, Species from Feces, a new tool to identify bats in culverts and on bridges, is April 22nd at noon. EV Infrastructure and Fuel Policy, Understanding the Transportation and Economic Impacts, will be April 23rd at 2 p.m. And the CTS webinar, How Infrastructure Shapes Driver Behavior and Pedestrian Safety, will be May 19th, 2026. And CTS will be hosting 2 in-person events on May 5th, 2025 at the McNamara Alumni Center. The All Councils meeting from 9 to 11:30 a.m. and the annual meeting and awards luncheon from 11:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. in Memorial Hall. I'm sure you can expect to see more about these dates and notices for these events via the CTS communications channels. Finally, if there's any students joining today, could you please send a chat to all panelists with your name? We like to track the number of students who are engaging in our events, and thank you for attending today. So with that, I'm going to introduce our presentations and our speakers today. First, let me just acknowledge James DeSoto and Sam Han Duvel, who are today's CTS staff supporting today's webinar. And just a quick description of the webinar. Artificial intelligence is increasingly influencing how transportation and infrastructure projects are planned, delivered, and communicated. This webinar builds on CTS's December 25 AI discussions and by highlighting how AI is being used in practice both nationally and internationally. The December webinar focused on use cases within Minnesota, and this one focuses on speakers from outside of Minnesota who will share real-world examples of AI integration in infrastructure and construction contexts. Today we will learn about the Infrastructure Program Helsinki, Finland. This strategic urban development initiative is focused on designing and constructing a sustainable future for the city, including a massive expansion of light rail transit network. We will also hear how AI is supporting transportation agencies and project teams through applied industry use in the US outside of Minnesota. The webinar is designed to foster shared learning and discussion around how AI is being adopted today, why organizations are investing in these tools, and what lessons transportation professionals can take from industry and international experience. It is intended for practitioners, researchers, students, and others interested in the evolving role of AI in transportation and infrastructure. So with that, I'm pleased to welcome today's speaker. Tomi Kotila is the project director of the City of Helsinki Public Works Department. Pieti Mariavara is the Chief Innovation Officer in Construction Management at Ains Group. And Nicole Moon is the Strategic Communications Highway and Roads Market Sector Lead at HDR based in Phoenix, Arizona. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Tomi to start our presentations.
Okay, cool. Can you put the presentation on? Good morning, everybody. Greetings from Helsinki. It's afternoon here. It's been a long day. My name is Tomi Kotala. I'm a project director at the City of Helsinki Public Works Department.
Yeah, good morning. My name is Pieti Mariavara, and it's nice to be talking to you.
Yeah. Thanks for having us here. So next slide, please. Okay. Something about Helsinki metropolitan area, like Katie told you guys that Helsinki is in Finland, north of Europe, and in Helsinki metropolitan area, population is around 1.6 million, and 12 municipalities. 3 of those are like big cities. So you have twin city system over there. We have a triple city system here. But that's about shortly about Helsinki metropolitan. Next slide, please. And let's go to the infrastructure program Helsinki projects. These are light rail focused urban development projects, and we try to take account all forms of transport and need for other infrastructure. So it's not just light rail project. We are developing the city quite widely, urban development project, as I would say, and we are developing water supply at the same time, wastewater management, cabling for electricity, data cables, and we also develop energy supply such as district heating and district cooling, but focused on light rail. Next slide, please. And we have this slogan here that tramway projects are never just tramway projects. They also create other urban infrastructure. And the best outcome, we think, that is achieved because all modes of transportation are planned systematically, taking the whole into account. And as a byproduct, the citizens will be hopefully more satisfied, and it's a safer urban environment for all. And next slide, please. A little bit about our sustainability goals. We want to be carbon aware because we are using quite a lot of concrete, and we want to be carbon aware, nature positive, and resource wise. We want to recycle as much materials as possible, and we want to be harm-free for people during construction and the end product and environment as well. And of course, people in the center, workers in the center, well-being focused work community. And we want to be in a governance-wise transparent. And of course, we want to foresee the future. Maybe some winters we don't have any snow, and other winters we have lots of snow. We have to take those under consideration while we are designing and building our urban environment. And next slide, please. And something about our values. We want to value creation through fair partnership and customer at the center, and supporting and appreciating contributors. And we want to be pioneers with passion. So we want to innovate boldly, and that's why we are here. And AI is in the center of it. And next slide, please. So about our infrastructure program, Helsinki, and the contracting model, it's publicly procured alliance model, IPD. It comes from the words integrated project delivery, and our estimated volume for the three projects are 1.2 billion euros, which is roughly 1.3 or 1.4 billion dollars. And alliance means that we have three clients: Metropolitan Area Transport Limited, City of Helsinki, Public Works Department, and Helsinki Region Environmental Services Authority, which is a joint municipal authority in the metropolitan area. And we have the three different big contractors and four planners, design studios are doing it. And about the funding, because we have three clients, Metropolitan Area Transport Limited, the infrastructure compensation is one way of funding, and transport service compensation, you can say operational compensation. And of course, some of that funding comes from the ticket sales. And City of Helsinki is mainly taxpayers' money directly. And Helsinki Region Environmental Services Authority, the funding comes from water management payments. And European Investment Bank it's the provider for our loans. And next slide, please. If we go deeper into the alliance enterprise model, it means that we share everything. We work openly. We discuss openly. We don't have any like hidden contractors anywhere. So everything needs to be open. And of course, the executive commitment is really crucial for that we can achieve the goals. And we have joint commercial model. And within that alliance enterprise model, because we have publicly procured all the participants into this alliance model, our partners can do procurement within the limits that, which were set during the public procurement. So all the companies that are involved here can do the procurement, but we are doing all the decisions together: client, contractor, and planner. And this is an onion model about alliance model. You can also think of the onion model through the inverted triangle model, which is well known in lean construction, where management is at the bottom of an inverted triangle, and employees or value makers are at the wide top. And next slide, please. And a little bit about the partnerships model, because we have lots of other companies helping us to achieve our goals. We have key subcontractors, we have knowledge management, we have like dashboard tool and AI partnership. We have lean consulting here helping us to achieve our goals. We have material management and logistic partnerships, so everything is centralized. We have our own database in our knowledge management. And we want to involve all the partners in early stage, because they can join us plan the work we are going to do and how we are going to do it. And we do have different kind of market incentives with all the partners. And of course, we want to reward models instead of punishment models. And next slide, please. And something about knowledge management, and if you put the next slide as well. So all the partners, they are going to be in part of data space and systems. Yeah, if you can share some thoughts about this.
Yeah. So we actually have the slides that is a little different that you're showing, but yeah, when we are talking about the knowledge management, so here we can actually see what kind of programs we are using and what kind of data they are producing. So this is like an overview of our software deck. So you can find that there's software for scheduling, finance, safety, project documents, environment, sustainability. And of course, like Tommy mentions, that we have this engineering design software, but they are not included here. It's only the combination model. And these are our data sources that actually contribute to our knowledge management system.
Yes. And next slide, please. And something about our data and material flow. All that was shown in the previous slide, you can like simplify the idea, what we want to achieve here. We have a product catalog like for piles or concrete or dirt or whatever material there is. Then you choose it while you are designing something, so it goes to the EBOM, which comes from the words engineering bill of materials. And you enrich the data along with all the other information during the data flow. And then it goes to the MBOM, which means management bill of material, manufacturing bill of material, sorry. And you still enrich the data that goes through the system, and then it goes to the material management system and into the takt time. We want to achieve like 1 day takt time to like shorten the construction period. And we see that as a value for the citizens because we want to be harm-free for people, as I said earlier. And next slide, please. There's an animation showing. We need to probably, yeah, thanks.
Okay, yeah. So here's an example of our situational picture dashboard landing page. So this is open for anyone in the project to see. We actually have this jumbotron here that you can see. It's 7 meters wide and 3 meters high, something like that. It's really big in one wall, and of course you can see this on your web browser. And everybody can see this actual financial situation, what is the schedule and how your coworkers are feeling, what is the reflection of previous week, what is our ENPS score from the index. But then there are a lot of other things like besides this landing space page, and so there are more detailed stuff like all the decisions that the alliance is made is there. We can look the target value delivery, last planner system, sustainability things, risk and opportunities. But I'm not going to show you. But that's the stuff that's it's reading there in Finnish. But one main thing is here that most of our data actually includes the physical location where it comes from. So we can change this actual view, let's say, to 2D map. So you can change the animation. So now I can take a look on the same data based on a 2D map. So for example, this map here is showing now the maturity level of each individual work areas here. And and if you click, put on next animation. So if you click any of these areas, you actually get the same details, but which are specific to that area. So what is the actual risk and what is the finance and whatever it is that's just going on now in that area you are actually working on. So the people who are responsible for that certain area, people working there, know exactly what data they should be looking at. They don't have to look on this big aggregate stuff that you can see on the main board. Next, please. Yeah, so now we are finally getting to the AI. So the reason I wanted to show something about the knowledge management is that you can't do AI without data, and that's why you need a strong knowledge management. And we have been doing this in a lot of earlier very large programs, and they're going really well. And now we want to take the next step, so that's why we are bringing AI there. And of course, we want to be responsible while doing it. So do it in a sustainable way and an ethical way of using the AI. And we want everybody to be part of our AI journey. And since there are a lot of different companies, so we don't know actually what is the maturity level of the AI that people actually use to. So we have to train everybody, and that's what we are using this our ethical playbook for construction industry that we actually published last year. So next, please. So here's something that we are now working on. It's this concept called the project AI, and the basic concept is really simple. So first we teach people what AI is, and then we teach AI how to build in Helsinki. And that's what we're actually doing now in 4 different steps. So the first one is the fundamentals that, like I said, that people need to have shared understanding what you can do with the AI and how to use the AI, what kind of data can you put in and things like that. And then the second phase is that we want people to start using the AI. So we have given them this assistant, and it's pretty cool. So we can look a little bit later on that. It's called Rane, but then everybody gets the feeling that now I'm using a specific AI agent to help me on my daily work. But then this third step is the localized knowledge, and this is actually the secret sauce here. So you earlier saw that all these programs that what we are using and how they produce data. So we are actually now making this thing called context sphere. It's like a network of this context, how things are linked to each other, and we have put all our project documents there, all the schedules, tasks, even all the communications that we have in Slack. So if you talk something about in Slack, the AI actually knows that, yeah, it means actually this design that's now sitting on our project management website. And then the fourth phase is that once we have this localized data on how to build stuff in Helsinki, then we are giving agents and multi-agents to people so that they can actually do the expert level AI thing, what they need in their real life. And now we are something quite close between 3 and 4. Next slide, please. So these and these 2 slides that I'm going to talk about next are the most technical that's going to be. So don't worry. So here is what is this context sphere is and what is not. So actually is like a live intelligence links that understand and learns what's going on. So in the center you can see the context sphere itself, and it's surrounded like another view of all those software and documents that we were talking earlier. And it just takes like all these topics and links them together, but the data always stays in the source systems. Like also the user rights or the access rights are handled by each individual system. So we take care of the security from that. And it's dynamic, and right now it's like 10 minutes or something that when you get the new information, the update is automatically, so it's not a snapshot. And then at the top, that few of those icons, that actually means that when you are looking at this context sphere, you can look it from like your individual perspective, or as a team, or like a whole project, and that this is quite unique. And next. So it's like a one layer to rule them all. So what it means here, that we can use this context pair with any user interface. So we can use this with any of the GPTs, Copilot, email, whatever, different agents, and then it produces these documents, tasks, and stuff what we want. And just to remind that this is not the storage or integration layer, and this is totally agnostic to whatever AI model we are using. So we can use Google, Anthropic, OpenAI, Meta, or any of the European models. And there in the top, you can in this burgundy box, you can see these words, this RANE or RANE. So that's the first agent we are giving to our people, and let's take a little bit closer look at that. And now I know the next animations are screwed on this version, but let's go anyway. So please, Sam. Yeah. So when we introduced that, so everybody started loving Rane, and this is from the Valentine's Day that it changed, and I put just the next animation. And then, of course, when we had the ski holidays, and Rane was also going skiing, next, and then I know that was there, just forget it. And then this name Rane is actually let's say a joke in Finland, so it would translate Bob the Builder. So I asked Rane that let's talk about Bob when we are showing this to you, and then with this assistant, when I was chatting with it, it says that yeah, you're going to Minnesota, let's say the Paul Bunyan version, that it would be something you guys would appreciate. And now let's ask Rane a few things. Sorry, Bob. So asking some things that Tommy told us earlier, that about the alliance principles, that are we actually getting them, and is the best for the project mindset, how it's shown in daily operations. For the next animation, it should be another one. Yeah, and we have these transparency requirements, and we we rely on collaboration to how it's actually going on, and now we will see that what Bob is going to say about it. So next. So here is an example of the output. So I'll just highlight here is that the first, this agent went to see what is this actual official documentation here about the subject, that stuff that says M files there. Then it went and checked what people are actually talking about this in Slack, and then this Norwegian whole, it's a task management system saying that what kind of tasks they actually being done, and now taking this data from all these three different software, it's actually giving the answer here. And we take the next slide. And then this is one of our goals, that let's let's see, the industrial construction methods, and then we have quite a lot of the sustainability targets. Are we getting there? And let's see what Bob says. And again, it's digging from the same of the systems, and now you can actually see that the same three systems were used again, but then it's giving this insight, and it's actually quite critical. It's saying that our BREEAM targets are not going to be achieved if we if we continue this way. This is actually what I was talking with our sustainability people, and they assured me it's just a data problem. But let's see. So next one.
Okay, so why we are sharing this with you, what we have told you, and we want to advance the industry. We are pioneering integrated alliance models and AI-driven workflows to shift construction toward a more industrial and data-led discipline. Like Pieti told you, we want to achieve the industrialized way to work in an infrastructure program. We want to global benchmark to remain world class. We seek to compare our digital twins and AI solutions, in our case, Project AI, with leading global innovators. And we want collaborative innovation. We believe that radical transparency and sharing our methodology will spark new ideas and partnerships that push the entire infrastructure sector forward. Next, please. And some key takeaway. As I told, we want a holistic urban growth. Tramway projects are the catalyst for creating 1.2 billion euro worth of integrated urban infrastructure, not just transit lines. Like we want to improve all the infrastructure as a whole, and integrity and trust. Success is built on fair partnership, where a customer at the center mindset ensures that we deliver real public value, because we are using quite a lot of tax money. So we want to make sure that it happens, that we deliver real public value. And pioneering spirit, we innovate with passion, shifting the industry from traditional construction toward industrial efficiency. And there's a minor mistake. One team and one responsibility should be the next step. By integrating all partners into a single organization with a shared commercial framework, we manage risks collectively, and we ensure total commitment to our unified project goals. Next slide.
Yeah, and we want to do this with the real life data-driven integration, and of course we want to scale the AI to extend our current situational awareness and how to do it in a complex project work, and we want to share our ideas of what the project AI is and spark the discussion to benefit the whole construction industry. And of course, we want to be a benchmark and learn from other people too. Next, we're close to end, right?
Yeah. This is probably the second last slide. And this is one of our slogans, determination towards continuous improvement and learning from previous projects guide the infrastructure program towards the vision of, this is our vision. We want to be the world's best and most responsible urban development. And next slide. We had some minor technical problems that we couldn't share our updated presentation. So Jon Takman is our AI partner from Eleris, and his contacts aren't in that slide, but we can send you the updated presentation after this webinar. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Great. Thank you for the presentation. If anyone has any clarifying questions, we can take them now. Otherwise, we'll hold more substantive questions until the end. And just a thank you to our presenters from Finland for staying late on their workday to join us with the time change. So I'm not seeing any clarifying questions, so we'll turn it over to Nicole for her presentation and then come back to more discussion at the end of our time together. So take it away, Nicole.
It would help if I unmuted myself, but thank you. Thank you so much. Can you see my screen? Is it showing correctly?
Yes.
So like Katie said, I'm Nicole Moon. I am a strategic communication highways and roads lead for HDR, and I have worked in the media communications and public involvement space for just over 25 years. And so that said, the information I'm going to share with you today is very focused on how transportation communicators are using AI now, how they want to use it in the future or not use it in the future. But some of what I'm going to share is a little more generally applicable outside of communications, but it is a communications focus. So that said, AI is here. 40% of US employees now use AI at work, and that's double from 2023. And that number came from the Anthropic's Economic Index that came out last fall. And that number, as you can see on your screen, is a lot higher for communicators because a lot of the tools that have been released are very much around content creation and communications work. So 75% of communicators are now using AI in their work regularly. And as this technology continues to get adopted, especially by government agencies, the expectations around how government agencies deliver their work are shifting. So there was an EY poll that came out last year that found that 63% of government leaders really see potential in AI shifting the way that they deliver services. But at the same time, there are 55% of people, US adults, who, according to a Pew survey, said that they really want to know. They want to know, they want clarity about when AI is being used in their government. So that is really important for us as communicators. Most of the work that we do is directly involved with people. So we share information, we give feedback, we have really difficult conversations. Sometimes we're telling someone that we're going to take a piece of their property or we're going to impact them in very difficult ways. And so we're also those conversations are very human and they need a lot of empathy. And we're also working with stakeholders. A lot of the times we're building relationships or we're building trust and we're trying to get people on the same page, working in the same direction together. And all of this is very, very, very human work that couldn't very easily be replaced by an AI tool or a bot. So the question for us today is, then how do we as transportation communicators, how can we harness the power of AI without losing what makes us human, that empathy and that trust and that insight? So I do think it's possible, and some of the technologies I'll share with you today kind of get to that core of what I have been saying for several years now, is let's let the computers do what the computers do best, so we can do what humans do best because we are human. Let's start with, how do transportation communicators want to adopt AI tools in their work? For the next few slides, I'll reference some work that I did with the Transportation Research Board's former committee on public involvement in communications. And that work started in early 2024 and it continued until earlier this year. And we wanted, way back in 2024, which is not that long ago, but we wanted to get an idea of the skill level of communicators with AI tools then, and how they're using it for their work now. We did a baseline survey that we did in mid-2024, where we asked communicators about their skills, use cases, and concerns around AI use. For that survey, we had about 70 participants that represented about half of the state DOTs, a handful of transit agencies, and MPOs. Then we started talking about our survey results, and in the fall of 2025, we had the opportunity to present to a very similar group of people, the transportation communicators that were at the AASHTO Transcom conference. We had a similar sized group, so we decided to do a live poll and ask the same questions that we had asked the year before to see if anything had changed, and it did. So we're going to jump into some of those changes between 2024 and 2025. As you can see, in 2025, 75% of communicators were using AI tools in their work, and that was up a whopping 27%, which is quite a bit for 1 year, and that was the highest change that we saw. But you could also see that 13% of communicators had moved from that "I'm not using AI at all" into the interested but not actively, so they were looking at it, they were interested in it. And then 7% had moved out of "I'm using it daily" to "now I'm using it regularly, strategically for data analysis and decision making." So we're all moving kind of across the spectrum. We also asked what kind of tools that they were used to using, what they were familiar with. And not surprisingly, the most common tools that communicators are using are content generation tools like ChatGPT, but Gemini or Copilot, and most of the 75% were familiar with that. But some of the other ones that they were familiar with were in-browser tools like Google and Siri, and integrated tools like Adobe or Canva, where you can add add-ons that use AI capabilities. Next, we wanted to get an idea of how they're using them now, how they'd like to use them in the future, and how they do not want to use them at all. So our survey found that 40% are now using just generative AI tools for creative ideation and brainstorming, and that was the highest increase of about 25%. They were also using it for content creation, that ticked up just barely 2%, and information retrieval and search, which was up 6%. When looking at where they want to go with it, it was a tie. So 19% wanted to use it for project management. That was an increase of 8%. 19% also wanted to use it for data analysis. So that was 3%. And then just 3% wanted to use it for information and retrieval and search. That was actually down 6%. But and then lastly, we wanted to know how do they prefer not to use it? So how do they not ever want to use this? And surprisingly, 33% told us that they did not want to use it, AI for content creation. And that was up 32%, which is a little bit interesting, because 2 questions before, they had told us that they were using it for content creation and slightly more than they've been using it before. So I think that really is an indicator of how the tools are evolving and some of the outputs that we're seeing, that AI slop, that's a big term right now that people are using, in terms of they're not relying on the outputs that are coming out of the tool. So I think that's why they're saying they don't really want to use it, because it's not that great. They also said they did not want to use it for image or video or audio editing, and this is up 18%. And for government communicators, this is a big tell. Building trust with audiences is absolutely paramount. And so in this world where we're seeing a lot of hallucinated content and deep fakes, for government communicators, creating visual content that is accurate and reliable and that their audience can trust, it did not shock me that they did not want to use AI for image or video or audio editing. And the last thing they didn't want to use it for was general automation. And this is up about 12%. And I think this really speaks to the fears that AI may come in and replace our jobs. And it's also to the trends of just rushing to adopt an AI tool for the heck of saying I adopted an AI tool, and not really doing the work to determine if this is the right tool for the problem, or even if there is a problem to be solved. The slide's going to make sense in a little bit more in a second. When we put together that survey in early 2024, the group of us that put that survey together, these 9 categories were the most common or most feasible use cases that we could come up with at that time for the use of AI in communication. And as we all know, since that time, the generative AI uses have just expanded exponentially. And it became really abundantly clear when we were asking those same questions for a second time in the fall of 2025 that the use cases that we were thinking about in early 2024 were just a minor part of what was available now. So to identify some of the newer use cases that had emerged during that time, we did a literature review of nearly 200 academic and industry articles to identify what may have come out of there. And this is it. This is not all of them either. I couldn't put them all on the screen or you wouldn't have been able to read them. So these are just some of the most commonly mentioned ones that we found in our review. You can see the blue now is categories. So we now have categories with multiple use cases underneath them. And this list itself is 4 months old. And I could probably redo that review that we did back in December, and how this will have shifted more in just the 4 months since we did that review. Just another way of looking at that review, these are those blue categories and broken out by the number of times that they showed up in our review. So you can see, of course, content creation is one of the biggest things that people are talking about, probably because it was a first mover for communications AI tools. But it's following up with media and social media management and accessibility and research and customer service. So those are other use cases that are gaining ground in communication. And the last thing with our review, based on what we read, because we did read all 200 articles we charted, the use cases based on the perceived level of adoption against how much human judgment is required for the task to be done well. So you can see the 4 quadrants, and I can tell you in the last 4 months, some of this has already changed. But in the upper left, these are ones that have not had much adoption because they need a lot of human oversight. So these are ones that, as we continue to make our tools, we'll need to be very strategic and very thoughtful about how we use AI for these types of use cases. In the upper right, these are things that are already being deployed, but they do still need a lot of human oversight and should continue to have a lot of human oversight. The ones in the bottom left are easy untapped wins. I actually know that a few of those have already moved into the bottom right, which is the things that are already being deployed and starting to get scaled. So the last thing with our survey was we wanted to know about challenges and concerns. So as I mentioned earlier, accuracy is a really big sticking point for communicators. That particular category jumped 18%, 17% in that 1 year. And I think for just reason, and as I mentioned, the AI slop, the hallucinations, so some of the issues that the outputs that we get from some of the generative AI tools do really need to be human fact-checked and back-checked before they could be used in a public agency setting. Some of the other top scores were ethical concerns and uncertainty around agency policies. So we did talk to a lot of communicators that didn't know what their policy was, so therefore just weren't using AI because they didn't know they could. We did do track in our literature review to see if there were other concerns that were coming up, and yes, there were. You can see that the legal, the ethical, and regulatory categories ranked the highest in our literature review. So if I've been rushing, it's because I wanted to get to this part. It's the fun part. This is how are we using AI in transportation communications now. And most of these are projects and tools that I've connected with through our TRB and our research in our committee, but a few of these are tools that our HDR team is actively working on as well. So I will call those out so you know which is which. And at the end, if you'd like to learn more about any of these, I'd be happy to connect you to the teams, whether at HDR or otherwise, that are doing this work. So the first is probably the most widely publicized with the Texas Department of Transportation in its rollout of Copilot in 2024. The team chose 300 employees to do a pilot test. They were integrated into their Microsoft products like Word, Power, and Excel. The goal was to improve productivity and gain efficiencies in the work getting done. The team worked with Accenture for this. And they presented this case study with us at TRB in 2025. And they found that the tools saved their employees up to 12 hours a week in productivity gains. So just being able to do research faster, write things faster, review things faster. And they've now since expanded this to more employees. So TechStat isn't alone. I put this up there because this was a known case study that they have been presenting about. But most agencies and companies are starting to move towards enterprise systems like Copilot. So this just happened to be a great case study to share how it was done in one DOT, but know that many other agencies are also going through this process. Next one is an internal communications tool that we developed here at HDR. It is not specifically for public involvement or communications. It's for contract documents, but the concept could be very easily applied to a communications project or external communications. So what we did was we used retrieval augmented generation, or RAG, and we set up a chatbot that allows our team to interact with the contract document. So they can go in and ask human questions of a contract document, and they'll get a human answer that explains it in seconds rather than hours. And this has really helped our team with efficiency to be able to answer client questions and to keep the Ontario line, which is a huge construction project in Toronto, to keep that moving forward and moving fast. So a really good example of how you could use an internal chatbot to keep communications and keep people informed. Another internal chatbot that HDR is helping with, this is with the Utah Department of Transportation. It's our environmental public involvement AI project. This project came about with funding from FHWA's innovation grants. So the UDOT team is developing a tool that will help it source its public involvement guidance and best practices into consistency in how they deliver public involvement for their NEPA project. So essentially, a future practitioner would be able to use this tool to enter some parameters of the project or study that they're working on, and the tool would help them create a consistent public involvement plan for that project based on Utah's best practices and best practices from around the country. This tool is still in development. Our team is actually helping to develop the training materials for it, and their current schedule is to be able to pilot it sometime in 2027. One more project that HDR is working on, this one is for my project on the Arizona Department of Transportation's I-10 Wildhorse Pass Corridor project. This is a 6-year construction project that started in 2024. And we do, as part of this project, regular construction surveys that garner hundreds, and I mean hundreds, of comments every couple of months. So we used ADOT's data from a previous project and developed a supervised machine learning model called the commentator that we're using to categorize these comments for comment type, category, and sentiment. And since these comments, previously took manually, it took hours to code them. The idea was that it would reduce the time that we were spending coding and then keep consistency across the years of construction, because the people who started on this project when it started in 2024 are likely not to be the same ones when it wraps up in 2030. So in testing, our tool did show that it reduced the coding time by about 60%. What was taking us an hour is now taking about 23 minutes. And we're on our 3rd round of comments being categorized for that survey. And so hopefully in 2030, I'll be able to report that we're able to keep consistency across all of those surveys. For this same project, and not on your side, but we are also developing an external chatbot for the project website. And this is also using the RAG, retrieval augmented generation, to be able to answer public questions about construction, real-time restrictions in the corridor, and other issues that people could report during the project process. So this is currently in the testing phase, which is why I don't have any pictures of it yet. And so far it's performing really, really well, but we've worked with ADOT to set a very, very high, close to 100% threshold for accuracy before we release it to the public. And the reason for that is it came from this project, our friends over on the East Coast at the Georgia DOT, they actually won the 2024 U.S. Modernizing NEPA Challenge, U.S. DOT's Modernizing NEPA Challenge, for a ChatGPT powered chatbot that they developed for a roundabout study near Milledgeville, Georgia. This team also shared their findings with us at the TRB meeting in 2025, as well as some lessons learned. So their chatbot was not able to be publicly deployed because it had a lot of issues with hallucination. And so the technology has changed since they've done this, so they're working on to see if they can get it back up. But in their testing rounds, they did find that it improved the customer service with the NEPA process itself. It allowed people to get information in real time. It allowed them to get information in a conversational setting rather than, as we know, sometimes doing NEPA projects, it's not very easy to understand, or as easy as it would be to understand for a non-technical member of the public to kind of grasp what the NEPA process is. So the good news was that it worked internally, but they're still working. I believe there's going to be a next phase to see if they can get the chatbot working externally. The next one more chatbot, and then I will stop talking about chatbots. This one is for the Chicago Transit Authority. It's called the Chat with CTA. This also came up through our research. They launched this chatbot in April of 2024. It is an app that you can use on a phone or on their website. And they wanted to improve customer service and make it easier for riders, specifically to report issues while they were on a train. So CTA worked with the Google Public Sector services and officially launched it with 5 languages, which is kind of cool. And since that launch, they have collected thousands of comments, and they've been able to get those easy to when's my train going to arrive kind of questions answered, so that the questions that were escalated to live agents were the ones that needed more time and more attention, and now those agents are able to spend that extra customer service, and their customer service feedback has increased. I only have a couple more of these, but this one is one of my personal favorites as an individual living with hearing loss. This is one that we found in our research out of the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey. They have implemented a AI-powered sign language interpreter for their website. So this is on their Midtown Bus Terminal website. It will take the text that is on the website and interpret it into ASL. They're using a tool called Synapse. It's pretty cool. But I wanted to point that out because that was a unique way of doing translation interpretation. There are many, many other examples of public agencies that are using AI-powered language translation tools. They're gaining a lot of popularity. I unfortunately have not had a great use case or a study of them that has come out that I could share just a specific one, but know that there have been a lot of agencies that are adopting them, and I would be remiss in not mentioning that is a trend that is out there right now. The last one is not in transportation at all, and not really a use case or a case study, but very relevant to the world of communications. And I came across this in the literature review, but in an academic article on mass communication, that it compared 13,000 human-authored press releases that were written by the U.S. Department of Justice with 13,000 of AI-generated counterparts that the team generated using generative AI tools. And the researchers found that the AI releases were much, much shorter, that they had an extreme bias toward positivity, which may or may not be a good thing in the world of the Department of Justice. And then it also lacked consistency. So even though they were using the same tool over and over again, it couldn't quite grab the brand voice or identity. So the conclusion of this particular paper was that AI writing especially in press release circumstances, would need to be heavily edited and heavily oversight for quality. Obviously, they didn't resend the 3,000 press releases, so they didn't check to see if AI was more effective in getting media coverage. But if anyone ever wanted to do that survey, I'd be really interested in seeing on how a study. I'd be interested in how that came. So that last kind of oversight was my segue into oversight and guardrails that AI really does need human oversight. And there's a lot of cautionary tales out there. You don't have to look very hard to find headlines of AI acting badly, especially in the public sector. And there are plenty of these. These are just a few headlines that I have found interesting over the years. And personally, my belief in the human beings is that I don't think anyone that was involved in any of these headlines went out to maliciously or purposely cause problems or cause harm. And the AI tools just were not implemented in a way that in a thoughtful way, or they just went rogue, and sometimes that happens. So if you are considering the use cases that I presented here, or if you're coming up and exploring for your own agency, know that with the adoption of any technology, there are risks and there are rewards, and that absolutely should play into your decisions, and move along this spectrum of going from that developing side to all the way to maintenance. There are a lot of tools that help you through this process, from risk assessments from the NIST RMF 2.0 framework. That's what we're using on our UDOT project, to examples of policies and procedures that are out there. Almost every state has one on their website now. I cannot underscore the need for staff training. Much of the risk involved in these tools comes down to who is using them and how they are using them. And then, of course, make sure you're following the rules for compliance, whether that's your agency's policies, your state or federal policies. And if you're getting into the world of social media, different platforms have different rules and regulations for AI use and disclosures. I don't have a lot of time left to get into each of these, but if anyone would like to talk more or learn more, I'd be happy to set up time to do that. I did want to circle back and go back to the survey, because we've been sharing this survey information around the country for quite a while now, and a couple of years. And I wanted to come to some of the key takeaways that I've had with communication, or my conversations with communicators and all of those. And one of those is that there is definitely a better need for policy understanding, and this is both at the agency level and at company level. One thing we heard a lot was that practitioners knew that they had a policy wherever they work, but they didn't know how it pertained to their specific work. And so they weren't using AI tools for fear of doing it wrong, or they were using it, but using it in secret and not telling anyone. Also not a good thing. The second was, there's a lot of new tools out there. Every time I turn around, I'm getting bombarded with another email with, please come check this out, this AI-powered something or other. And it's really hard. This is such a new technology, and most of us don't have a lot of experience with us, to make good choices and figure out which ones are going to move you towards solving your problems and which are not. So there's a little bit of analysis paralysis in that. Third was that we need training on how to use these tools, how to use them properly and effectively, but also on how to apply human oversight to the outputs that they're putting in, to make sure that what we are creating is legal and ethical and accurate, and most of all engaging. Some of the outputs on these tools are less engaging than human outputs. And then lastly, there has been a call for some industry standards around use, so guidelines that transportation communicators as a whole that they would agree upon and want to use as kind of a fence post as we move forward as an industry. So if I haven't made this clear, AI is evolving, but it's with the right oversight, with the right guardrails, I think it can definitely, as communicators, amplify what we do best and help us connect with people and lead with purpose. So that is all I have. Again, my contact information on the slide. But thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to be here.
Great. Thank you, Nicole. And just a reminder, we have both the question and answer, and you can feel free to put questions in the chat, or now that we're transitioning to Q&A time, feel free to raise your hand. We'll try to get through. I know we have some questions kind of in the hopper in the Q&A and chat, and so we'll start with those and try to get through as many as we can in our remaining time. And so I invite all of our presenters to come back on camera, and we will volley questions between the group. And so the first question is maybe more of a clarifying question for our presenters from Finland. Can you elaborate on what industrial construction means in the context that you were talking about?
It means like a factory-like constructing, like all the materials are right on time, just on time on the construction site. So it increases safety and satisfaction for the workers.
Thank you. Another question for you all. Kind of because of the geopolitical place in the world, Finland has invested in very strong and integrated technology infrastructure. The US is about 20 years behind Finland, maybe, and Minnesota is somewhat ahead of the rest of the US. what advice do you have for Minnesotans helping to build this base infrastructure, including the policies shared at the beginning of the presentation? For example, harm-free for people and the environment, well-being focused, customer centered. So just what advice would you have for infrastructure construction folks in Minnesota?
Tough question. We had lots of conversations, long conversations about our values and how we want to contribute for the taxpayers, what we are doing, and like it was like go ahead and share your ideas with all the people and how we can do it better together.
Great. I'm gonna jump over for a question for Nicole now. What are you seeing in terms of the amount of time and resources needed for training to get through the learning curve of some of these AI tools? And is that factored into the percent efficiencies or time reductions that you shared with your use cases?
That's a great question. I don't know that I have tracked any of that or asked that question with the use cases. I do know that it probably was not factored, the training was probably not factored into the efficiencies and the reduced time. But in terms of training, I think most have just been treating it as part of the project time and project investment into getting people where they need to be. I don't know that I have a much better answer to that.
Continuing along the training vein, you mentioned the need for more training. Do you know of any good resources to fill that gap, or things that that you can recommend or direct people to?
Yeah, so some of the industry organizations like PRSA, IABCs, a lot of those communications tools or organizations are doing trainings around it now to help people, one, understand how to use the tools, how effective they are, or how to use them effectively, sorry, and then also to look at the back end. It's kind of a skill shift in that we all joined communications because we wanted to be the writers, and now we're all going to be the editors instead. So it is very much that all of those organizations have started creating trainings and opportunities for people to do that. I also know IAP2 has a few that are coming out too.
Look for professional organization training seems to be maybe where a lot of that's happening right now.
Yes.
Great.
In colleges, I've seen a few universities have opportunities to learn as well.
Now back to Tomi and PAT. How do you ensure compatibility up front when owners are on different software platforms, contractors have different field equipment, and consultants use different workflows before any of that data can realistically feed into one system? How is the AI trained to understand construction specific context, things like specs, means, methods, sequencing, contract language, so that the analysis goes beyond retrieving data?
Yeah, I can answer that. Of course, like when we select the old software, so it takes quite a lot of time, and we talk about like, okay, what kind of REST APIs we have, what we want for the program, how we are doing it, and about how the AI understands. What it means is that you mean like the ontology of the things and how to teach it, what is the semantic meaning of the stuff. So that is always a challenge, especially if people use acronyms. And if you're talking about LLMs, they get it wrong. But we use these ontologies from the models, and this kind of context network is actually one of our solutions that Nicole mentioned. RAG. So RAG was a thing in 2024. Everybody needed RAG, and then it's not enough. And then the next thing is you need a knowledge graph and how things are connected each other. And the knowledge graph is not enough. Then you go to knowledge sphere. So it's a step-by-step process, and we are currently working on it. And so we have a lot of safeguards and how to use it. But the main thing is that our experts check everything, but everything is ongoing.
Great. Thank you. Nicole, back to you. Are project-specific chatbots or enterprise systems becoming cheaper to develop as more and more can be copied from previous projects? And do you see local and state DOTs and government agencies continuing to contract out for developing specific project-specific chatbots as internal skills improve and the AI hype potentially wanes or loses funding?
That's a good question. Yes, just saying that we've been able to take a chatbot developed for one project and then apply some efficiencies in developing it for another project. I have seen that. We are still getting calls from DOTs to develop chatbots so I think that the internal skill gap is still exists, but I would just with many other technologies expect that over time that would go down as the state DOTs and agencies get their skill sets up to speed.
Another question for you, Nicole. How is the Arizona DOT commentator tool for coding survey comments either more effective or more efficient than using basic AI tool like ChatGPT or Copilot to review and summarize comments?
So the reason for that one, we have certain comment categories that we want to have consistent over 6 years. So that was the reason for using that particular tool. And I guess every time that we set a new set of data into a ChatGPT, it starts from scratch. So creating the consistency across, then you would end up having to compare data sets over time. The other thing is that the commentator tool was developed specifically around transportation data, so it only understands transportation data. So it understands the nuances of a road project or understands the nuances of a construction. And so it's only, whereas ChatGPT has the nuances of the entire world, and so it may not have an accurate of a view on analyzing the data. So those are the efficiencies that we found in using the commentator.
The last question we have in the chat for you, Nicole, is can you speak to the coordination with legal departments and DOTs that you've worked with to pilot these AI tools?
Yes, so the legal team absolutely needs a seat at the table. And they have been reviewing, basically helping with the risk analysis, and then the chatbot that we're developing for ADOT will have legal language that goes with it too, and making sure that we're covering the risk in case the chatbot does. We don't want to end up being one of the cautionary tales. But the legal team is definitely reviewing everything that we are doing and providing input.
Great. I don't see any more questions in the chat or the Q&A, but I have one of my own for all three of you. And that's just as you've done this work and been working in this space, I'd love to hear from the three of you what's like kind of your top lesson learned or takeaway or talking point you'd like to share with a group of interested professionals here.
So if I start, I am really amazed how our project AI is personal towards you. It's not bias or anything, but like it can answer, in my perspective, for all my questions or my ideas or problems, solve my problems.
And I would go with the people already asked about the training is that you have to get the people on board very at the beginning already, and the AI policy you have, everybody needs to understand and commit to it, and then I would say that it makes sense to learn how to ethically use AI and what are the good practices instead of what is the current hot software right now, because it will change next week, but the good practices will stay there.
Great. Nicole?
Yeah, I like I said, things change are really fast in the world of AI, and what we were talking about 2 years ago is not what we're talking about now. And I feel like whatever problem that you have in your day-to-day, whatever bottleneck you have, you could probably find a way to use AI for it to solve the problem. But I would challenge people to look at whether that's the right thing, because there's a lot of risks and a lot of risks that come with using AI. And I don't want to lose as a communicator that human piece of what we do and the connection piece, because that's the core of what we do as communicators. So that would be my advice to anyone who's looking at AI, is really, really look at what is the payoff for doing this, and what am I giving up when you look at AI tools.
Great. Well, I guess this is the last call for any additional questions from any participants. Not seeing any. I think we can wrap up a few minutes early here, and just a big thank you to our presenters and for all of our participants for joining today. We appreciate the information shared and the good discussion, and look forward for more information on future CTS events.